I'm here to show you my new baby, a Janome 900 CPX cover stitch. And I bought this cover stitch on Friday on Amazon. It came on Saturday. I paid for the one-day shipping because my husband, bless his heart, was going to take the kids to Grandma's house on Saturday, and I thought it was worth the extra $17 one-day shipping to have it on my day to sew. And just a bit of background, for a long time I thought I didn't need a cover stitch. I didn't want a cover stitch. It wasn't worth the extra expense to do for a machine that could only hem. My friend Kimberly bought one, and I thought, why does she need a cover stitch? She already has a couple sewing machines and a serger, and same thing for myself. Why do I need a cover stitch? I already have a couple sewing machines and a serger. But I love it. I was feeling like I needed a little kickstart to my garment sewing. I've been doing a lot of quilting lately, and this was just what I needed. So this machine is the 2-needle cover stitch. It takes 3 threads. It's great so far. I haven't had any skip stitches. A little bit of a learning curve to learn how to take the fabric off, but I actually love it because you don't have to do any back stitching or tying off the threads once you learn the correct way to take it off the machine. So let's do something. So what I have here is a little top that I'm making for my daughter Chloe for her birthday. The top is from the Ottobre magazine. I'll put a link in the comments of the pattern if you want to actually find it. But the top of this top, it doesn't have sleeves. It has a little neck binding, and then the binding extends to a little strap that ties on the front and the back, both sides. So I've already finished this side. You can see that the cover stitch did a really nice job with like a double needle on one side and then a professional finish on the other side, and then it extends, and on the neckline, same thing. I have a double needle on one side and a nice finish on the inside. I also use the cover stitch machine for those little hems around the armholes. So I'm almost finished. I have to do the front, which is the other side. I have already sewn on a 1.5 inch knit binding. Normally when I do these bindings, I will sew them with a 3/8 inch seam allowance. I used a 1/2 inch seam allowance because, which I think I will start doing now, or adjust it for this cover stitch machine, because I don't want it to wrap all the way around and over the line. I want it to wrap part way around, and then my nice finish will go right over the edge. So I'm finding that a 1/2 inch seam allowance works really well for sewing on binding for this machine, for this technique, and for the 1.5 inch strip. So I will start by, oh, and one thing to keep in mind, you're going to need more thread because I have 4 spools of purple thread on my serger. I have 1 spool of purple thread on my sewing machine, and now I needed 3 spools of purple thread. I used this light lavender for the cover stitch. So I have a large stash of thread, but you need a lot. I'm using a woolly nylon thread here, you can see, for the looper, and it works really nice. I like the effect, but really I just put it here because this is my last spool of lavender thread. So I hope you can see this. I'm going to start with one end, which is a strap, because we're going to go strap, neck binding, strap. And I'm going to fold this in thirds. And at the bottom, it's just going to go mostly around. The raw edge will be covered by the cover stitch. I'm going to put it under right at the edge. Take the first stitch. You can see that. And make sure everything is folded nicely. Now I'm going to pull on these threads. I'll use this hand. I'm going to pull on these threads a little bit just to make sure that the fabric doesn't get caught in the feed dogs as I get started. So here we go. There we go. No catching. Starting nicely. We've got nice, smooth operation of this machine. Okay, so I am getting caught in the thread dogs a little bit. I'm going to, the feed dogs, I'm going to lower my needles, lift the foot, and kind of pull that out. Here we go. Just sewing down the center of the strap, and I am almost to the neckline part. There we go, almost to the neckline. And as I start the neckline, I'm just going to fold the binding around to the inside of the shirt. Okay, I've started the neckline, keep folding. Don't want to cover it up with my hand there. I want you to be able to see. Now, I'm stitching with a double needle right down the center of the binding. Wrapping it around. I'm at the front of the blouse now. Now I am going off the neckline, and I'm going to continue folding this in thirds, making sure the raw edge is on the bottom, going to be covered. Down that last little strap. Okay, I'm on the end of the strap now. I'm going to go until I see that I've reached the end. I'm turning with my hand. And okay, last stitch. Now, there are other YouTube videos you can see on how to end this. I could just sew right off the strap since this is the end and it's not a circular garment, but I really, really like the way that it will lock the stitches. I don't have to use a seam sealant or back stitching or anything of the kind. Don't have to do anything on my sewing machine. So I'm going to take it off the proper way. And I'll show you. I have my favorite seam ripper. It's flat, very sharp on one end, nice blunt edge. On the other end, I will raise the foot. Use the blunt end, not the blade, to pull these threads to forward. Now I could use scissors, but I've got the seam ripper in my hand with the blade. I'm going to cut the threads. And I'm going to grab the end of the strap and just pull it off. And there we go. I need to cut the threads. Cut the threads. There we go. No, nothing. This is not going to come undone. Now later I will take this to my sewing machine and fold it under and just make a nice little end of the strap. But I don't have to worry about these threads coming undone. And at the start, where I started sewing my little neck binding, I don't have to worry about this either. So I'm just going to cut it off. Get rid of those threads. There we go. So the neckline is done. Yay! Cute little top. I'll show you how it just tie this in a little bow on one side. But the top is not done, mind you. I still need to do the hem. And here I am at my cover stitch machine, so I will sew the hem. Show you how cute this little top's going to be. There. There. Won't that be cute? Anyway, okay, let's finish the hem. So, we've just got plain hem, got serged seams. I'm going to, now, people have complained that there's no guide markings on this from the needle plate over to the along here, and you can put a piece of painter's tape. I saw YouTube videos, people would lay the hem, say you want to do a 1-inch hem or larger. You just make your little hem, press it if you like to do that, stick it under your machine where you want it to go, and put a piece of painter's tape right here to be your guide. But honestly, on my knit garments, t-shirts, leggings, what have you, I almost always do a 1/2 inch hem. And I have figured out, now of course the proper way to do this is pressing, but I have figured out that if I do my 1/2 inch hem and I place this under here, if I put the edge, and you aren't going to be able to see this really, but if I put the edge of my fabric right along the needle plate, it's perfect for a 1/2 inch hem. So it has a guide for a 1/2 inch hem. It's right here. So I don't need the guide. So 1/2 inch hem. I'm going to start now. This is I want the acrylic clear foot that I saw other YouTubers have, because it would be totally awesome for sewing circular hems like this. But since I just got this machine on Saturday, and I don't have it yet. So this is what I figured out. If I start on the side of my garment, this is my seam. If I start right before the seam, sew over it. Then when I come all the way back around, even though I can't really see the stitches because my foot covers them up, once I know that I go over the seam again, I'm sewing on top of my stitches again, and I'm safe. So that's kind of the trick that I figured out so far in just a couple days. But I am going to order that. Clear foot looks awesome. Okay, so I'm going to lift my foot and place this right before the seam with the edge of the fabric right against the needle plate. And I am making, in case you can't see it, I'm making a little 1/2 inch seam, or 1/2 inch hem. So here we go. Easy peasy. Nice and smooth. I might check to see how the hem's going. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay, I'm coming up to the seam on the other side. I did see in one other YouTube video that someone suggested just clipping your serger seam a tiny bit so that you can fold the little serger seam allowances in opposite directions and have less of a bump. This top is made of kind of a thick interlock, so I just did that just because. Earlier, I was working actually on this top, which is a very light jersey, and I didn't bother with that step. I also did the binding on this top, you can see. It turned out very nice. Did it exactly the same way. Okay, here we go. Almost done. Now, we're on the place where I started. I'm just going to go ahead and clip those threads on top because I'm going to sew right over them. And they're locked anyway because it's my starting point. So I'm almost there. Home stretch. Okay, so I see my fabric is still lined up with the presser foot right here. And I'm approaching the seam where I started, so I'm just going to go slow, going over that seam, and now I'm sewing on top of this, my starting stitches. Just take a couple stitches, don't really need to take a lot. Raise the needle to the top position. My handy dandy seam ripper, going to use the blunt end, I don't want to cut my fabric. Raise the foot, slide it behind, underneath. You should see this. Okay, here's the threads. Cut them. Pull this out. The top threads have been pulled to the back, so I just have 3 threads to cut here on the back. And there we go. The top is finished. So, Everyone says on the reviews that they were able to take this machine and start using it right out of the box. I can't see why not, especially since those of us who are buying it already have a couple sewing machines and a serger, and it works great. It's kind of like your serger, but without the upper looper, just the lower looper to thread, which is totally easy because we've all mastered it on our serger, right? So anyway, thanks for watching. Come visit my blog, SewCanShe.com, for lots of sewing tutorials and more, and have a great day.